a 3,000 level class because they want to be there, they identify as writers. You're going to have a few particularly skilled writers in the freshman comp class because, you know, it's essentially a random selection of the students, you know, of all freshmen compiled into one class. So, yeah, there are going to be some that are going to be really good, but you're also going to have some that are going to need a lot of work to get, you know, that are going to struggle to get certain grades or what have you.
At your other schools, have you've taught other courses besides freshman comp?
I have, but not on the upper levels, on the developmental side.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, maybe if there was, like, if maybe, like, the freshmen here were not as skilled as the upperclassmen at maybe another school.
I see, I wouldn't really know that because I've taught the equivalent of English Comp 2 at Middlesex, but even that's still freshman or at latest sophomore just because Middlesex is a 2-year school.
Okay.
So that's a hard kind of judgment to make. And like I said, normally at the other school, if I'm not teaching the strict kind of English Comp 1 class, it's usually developmental. It's not usually anything afterwards.
Oh, I see.
A lot of those schools don't really have a whole lot of upper level writing classes anyway.
Do you have a higher set of expectations for one group?
I do. I have a higher set of expectations for the upperclassmen. Just because of the nature of what we're doing in here. Everybody for 3080, everybody self-identifies as a writer. Everybody in here, you know, says that they're a writer. So I expect, you know, higher level writing. Not everybody in an English 1030 class identifies as a writer. All right, I ask this question at the beginning of any freshman comp class that I teach. Like I say, I've only done it once here, but at Middlesex, at Union, I've done a bunch of them. I ask, how many of you actually want to be here? How many of you are writers? How many of you are, you know, English majors? 1, maybe 2 per class per semester. So the expectations have to change based off of that.
Do you grade each group differently? Well, I guess with the higher expectations in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the expectations. I don't change my, how do I put it? I don't change my grading
harshness.
Critique. I still deal with evaluating writing the same way, regardless of whether it's freshmen or seniors. But the expectations of the assignments change. Whereas for a freshman, I might expect to see a thesis statement and, you know, some good logical reasoning in an argument and a solid introduction and conclusion, and, you know, that's all that I'll be looking for. For a senior, I might not even mention those things. That should be kind of ingrained already, and my expectations will be more like the expectations of this class, that we're really thinking rhetorically about our audience and how we're going to interact, you know, how the projects are going to interact with the audience, et cetera, et cetera. So I wouldn't say that I grade differently. I'd say that what I'm looking for each class is different.
Okay, so in each group's work, you look for the different expectations.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, there's more.
That's okay.
Do you think there are any constraints that limit any of the writing classes you've taught?
I think freshman comp is hard just because of the range of students in terms of skill levels and stuff like that. I would love to be able to go a little bit deeper in a freshman comp class in terms of what we try to accomplish and what I try to teach. That really is limited by making sure that everybody is able to handle each thing that we do, each block that we use to build on. So as far as that goes, that can be a constraint. We still have to accomplish what we have to accomplish that's set forth by the department. If we don't, then we're not doing our job. But I would still like to go maybe even a step past that if we can. And sometimes that just doesn't work. For the upper level class, the constraints are really more, what's the word I'm looking for, more personal based.
Okay.
Because, and that's also a problem in the freshman classes too. But we're a middle class school. Everybody works. Everybody's got family. Everybody's got things going on. Some of us work 2, 3, 4 jobs to pay for school to be here. So then the constraints tend to be time based.
Okay.
All right. When do I find the time to actually do this? That's why I try to give you guys in this class as much time as we can to work in the class itself, because we got kids, we got parents, we got work, we've got all this other stuff, and especially around here, like nobody's here because mom and dad are spending a ton of money to send them here. Usually around here it's very middle class. We're the ones that are kind of paving our own way. Most, I don't know if this is still true, but at least it was when I was here as a student, most of the students are first in their family to go to school, that sort of stuff. So the outside influence, the personal influence,
the external constraints
can be a little bit of a constraint. Yeah.
Okay. Which genres do your students study in freshman comp and
for freshman comp, we do summary and response. I think I mentioned that before. So that one is usually something dealing in some sort of nonfiction, generally dealing with like a news article. I try to keep it as current event as I can, reading and responding to that in some way.
So would you say the nonfiction is a genre or the summary and response?
No, nonfiction.
Okay.
But really both. For the rhetorical analysis, we have them analyze a speech. And that was actually a little bit rough for me when I taught it, because they told us have them analyze a speech, and it couldn't be a speech that was well known. The Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech or something. He used it as an example, but that's not what the paper is going to be on.
So that's for freshman comp, right?
Yeah, this is still for freshman comp. So for the rhetorical analysis, they analyzed speech, and they looked at language rather than just words on paper.
Okay.
The way that you would for a rhetorical analysis. You're looking not just at the words, but at the context, at the situation. So I had them. They could choose one of a couple, but one of them was a speech by Hillary Clinton during the
election?
Freddie Gray case.
Oh, okay.
It happened right after the Freddie Gray case first, came about. So they had to look at that and really kind of do some research on their own and look at the way that she uses words to construct arguments and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in terms of genre, as far as that goes, I guess you'd say, speeches or something like that. What else do we do in freshman comp?
It's a personal thing you said?
There's an academic reflection at the end, which is an important genre in and of itself. We can reflect all we want, but to reflect academically and to kind of put it into that kind of context is a skill that that needs to be learned. I'm blanking on what the other assignment was. Oh, it's a research paper. Researched, documented, that sort of stuff.
So research paper is...
Yeah, so it was on some sort of society-based, controversial topic.
In 2020, the genres would be like process analysis,
literacy
narrative,
portfolio writing.
And then for cyberspace, it would just be like blogs.
Yeah, blogging, multimodal writing, storytelling. Multimodal writing, I mean, you guys are seeing it now. It's not as easy as just writing words and putting pictures in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a genre in and of itself, and there's some really good multimodal writing out there, and there's some really good digital storytelling out there, too, that, act as a genre in and of itself. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's a graduate level class now strictly on digital storytelling.
Wow.
Dr. Zamora teaches it, and I think they just started it this semester, and I hope it keeps going. It's the kind of thing that I wish I was still in school, that I would love to take a class like that. let alone teach it.
It's for like writing majors, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. It might be one of those dual classes, like creative nonfiction is a class that's available for both graduate students and undergrads. It might be one of those kind of courses.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I don't know enough about it, but I've seen the flyers around.
Yeah.
So,
Which factors do you think contribute to students' writing competence? This is more of a general question.
what factors contribute to their writing competence? Honestly, the biggest factor is, what's the word I'm looking for?
Experience?
No,
maybe?
no, the biggest factor is drive. It's determination. It's wanting to be a good writer. So many people, when it comes to writing, assume that if I can't do it well the first time, then I can't do it at all. And you know me by now, I'm big on drafts. I'm big on let's keep doing it, let's keep making it better and better and better. If you're not willing to take part in the process, if you're spending all of your time just kind of putting it off, and then trying to write everything fueled by Red Bull at 2 o'clock in the morning the night before it's due, then you're not really giving yourself a chance to be a competent writer. So I think the biggest factor is a willingness to do the work, a willingness to, for lack of a better term, a willingness to buy into the process. If you're willing to get involved in the process of writing, I don't think that there is anybody out there that can't become at least a competent writer.
Right.
And of course there are other factors, there are going to be other influences, some things that you can control and some things that you can't. Some people just have a natural proclivity towards writing or towards storytelling. They can turn a phrase in a really interesting and unique way, but that's not necessarily, I don't think that's the biggest factor. I think having like kind of that natural skill is nice, but I do think that can be developed through hard work, through willingness to do it.
So the next question is, do you think writing is a fixed trait? And based off of what you said,
No,
the answer would be no. So
I
people
think
could work
it
towards.
can be, I think it can be taught. I think that it is something that, just like anything else, I think that anybody could be at least a competent guitar player if they sit down and put the work into learning how to do it. I think that anybody can be, at minimum, competent at anything. It's just a matter of making the decision, do I want to do this and do I want to put the effort in that it's going to involve. I can't do a damn thing with cars. I don't know anything about cars.
Me neither.
All right, I don't even know how to change my own damn oil. All right, but if I decided one day, you know what, I'm going to learn how to take apart and put an engine back together, it would take a lot of time, it would take a lot of practice, I would probably have to ruin a lot of engines, but I believe that I could at least become good enough at it to be competent at it if I put the time in.
Right.
And I think it's the same with writing.
Do you collaborate with other writing professors to create or discuss student work?
Yeah.
Well, definitely people in the department.
Andre, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Collaborate with them?
Andre and I have had discussions about it, especially when we're teaching the same class. Hi, Andre. I don't think he's going to hear that. When we, especially because a lot of us who are teachers now came up together through the Writing Center and went to grad school together. So myself, Andre Jones, Heather Connors, Nikki Dresty, we all worked together in the Writing Center. So, we certainly, talk about it. We certainly, especially last semester when all four of us were all teaching freshman comp classes, we certainly talked about like the assignments and, okay, well, what are you doing? And, kind of giving each other feedback. We don't necessarily talk about specific students' work or anything like that, just, ideas to kind of make each other better and make ourselves better.
And you think that helps the students, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This class would not be set up the way that it is if I didn't sit down and talk to Nikki Dresty 2-3 weeks before this semester started and asked her how she did that class. right? She's teaching Writing 2020 right now, which is a class that I, up until this semester, had taught every semester for 2 years. So we said, well, you've taught this class before, I'm really familiar with that one, let's get together, let's talk about it,
Okay.
give each other ideas and you know, support.
The other writing professor who teaches English 1030, he actually, he doesn't do the blogs or the Twitter or the,
Right.
you know, he's just strictly like, all right, I'm going to teach you about, you know, how to make a multimodal project, and they just do like that.
Yeah, so, oh, so you're talking for 3080?
Yeah, 3080
Okay.